Let's move on to our third presenter today. And, Frank was part of Clubhouse in the early days before Speaker Speak Live was even a thing. But where I really got to know Frank is I asked him, I said, hey, if you're ever in Denver, I would love to come out and hear you speak. And a lot of time went by and time went by. And then all of a sudden we had influence. And he said, well, let's see, Marty, I'm going to be speaking in Denver a couple of days after influence. And before that, I set up a speaking date on 3 days before influence. That we're going to do the driving tour to influence. So I've got one, and then I'm going to another city to do two. Then there's influence. Then I'm leaving on a red eye during the banquet. Instead of going to the whole banquet, I'm going to fly to Florida all night and then do a keynote in Florida, and then I'm going to fly to Denver the next day and do a 2.5 hour ending keynote. And I'll just tell you, that group, there was probably maybe, I don't know, 100 people in this group, and they all had to be there. They were municipality employees, and it's like they didn't want to be there, but they had to be. And Frank had this group simply riveted for 2.5 hours. Not a single person left the room. I'd never seen anything like it.
And I know we've got limited time, so I've got to jump into it. So if anybody's ever been to an amusement park, they talk about just keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. I grew up on the East Coast, everybody. I talk fast. I am passionate about the speaking business, and I want to share a lot with you today because ultimately, I'm going to ask the question right now in the chat. Why are all of you here today? Because I want to make sure that I'm sharing the right information, because speakers, we can speak about what we want to, but the idea, like Mike said, is we have to give you something that's going to impact your life. So in the chat right now, why did you all show up today? Anybody, let's go ahead, start typing them down right now. Why are you here today? Be honest, okay? This is an honest business, so don't be trying to be nice with it. Why are you here today? Some people are saying, learn to grow. I want to speak. Okay, we got some good pieces there. Jersey boy growing up, Frank, all right? So I'm looking for some honest people. Why are you here today? Why did you join Speakers Speak? Okay, some people said expand my learning. Toolbox for the speaker business. Loyalty to Marty. All right, we got an honest person there. More speaking business, speaking professionally. Yeah, we are all here because to get smarter, we want to get paid. Thank you so much, Kurt. Kurt just said it. That's the answer. Lois has her book, Paid to Speak. It's not, hey, we want to speak. We want to get paid to speak. And that's why we're all here today. What can we do to learn, grow, and improve our business? So with today's program, this is a little snippet of what I like to do for a lot of different speaking organizations around the world, and it's called Spice Up Your Speaking. So we're going to shift things a little bit, and I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to be interactive today. As you look at the screen right now, my last name's Kitchen. Everything I do is kitchen inspired. We have some fun with it. I'm going to ask you right now, what is spice? So add it in the chat right now. You can do it maybe 1 or 2 words. What is spice? Please help me out. What is spice? So someone says flavor, 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 health. All right, we've got flavor, we got health adds flavor, reasons to eat, makes things taste better, hot, novelty, zest for food, unique personally. If you start looking at the chat, everybody, I'm reading it right now. Aren't these certain words that we want to describe our business? Don't we want a flavorful business? Don't we want a hot business, something that brings us joy, zest for food, people want it more? Yeah, that's what spice is. And I'm here today because I want all of you to spice up your speaking business, because spice is something that you add to food to either complement it or bring out the best in it. If you've noticed today with all the speakers, none of us have said that you're doing anything wrong. Even Lois said, hey, this is how I do it, but you can do it your way. Mike was talking about, hey, here's what I go and do. What happens is spice allows you to bring out the best. Many times you're going to get coaches and sessions and groups who talk about changing you. I don't want to change you today. I just want to add to you just a few extra ingredients, give you a recipe, what I've used to build up my speaking career. And the thing about any recipe out there, everybody, people share recipes, but you can modify it and tweak it to work best for you. So that's what we want today. We want the best for you. And that's why Marty invited me to come out to add a little spice. So a spice, the whole piece is you can pull out a piece of paper. You can write this down when you hear speakers, or if you want to add this to your speaking game. When you say write this down, you're letting the audience know that it's important. So what you can do is on a piece of paper, I want you to write the word spice, S-P-I-C-E, and then up, spice up, because we're here to spice up your business. So write those down, and spice up, quite simply, is the recipe of what I use to get booked. And not just to get booked, but to get booked for paid speaking opportunities, or like Lois says, impactful. Mike said impactful, but Lois says valuable speaking opportunities, because sometimes value isn't a check. It's the opportunity to get more speaking opportunities or to let more people know about what you do. So let's break this down. We got spice up. So the letter S for the recipe for Spice Up, quite simply, is you have to specialize as a subject matter expert. Now I'm going to be going through this really quick. We'll have some questions here in a second, but you have to ask yourself, what do you specialize in? Many of you will say, I'm a speaker. Okay, here's a quick thing you can change right now. Go to your LinkedIn profile, go into your website. You need to advertise yourself as a professional speaker. All right, that's the way you specialize. Because if you just call yourself a speaker, you want to speak in front of a crowd. If you call yourself a professional speaker, that means you get paid. Many people say, hey, I have a difficult discussion of talking about how much I get paid. Well, as soon as you introduce yourself as a professional speaker, I mean, think about it. You add professional in front of any term out there. I am a professional singer, professional athlete, professional roofer. Guess what? People know that you get paid. So go look at your profiles right now. Are you specializing in anything? I mean, look at the screen right now. Look at this. This says cheesecake because many of us are afraid to specialize. When you see this picture of Cheesecake Factory in one word on the side of the screen right now, what do you think of? So I showed you the picture of Cheesecake Factory. What do you think of? Anybody? Somebody says yummy, delicious. Okay. Big menu, desserts. Yeah. Overeating. If you're looking at the screen here, everybody, everything's coming up right now. The place is called Cheesecake Factory, and cheesecake was not the first answer that popped up in the chat. Cheesecake Factory is not afraid to specialize saying cheesecake, but we understand they've got food, they've got drinks, they've got happy hour, they got that big ass menu. I can say that on here, right, Marty? But it's bigger than a phone book for anybody who understands what even a phone book is. It's big, but even though they specialize, quote, in cheesecake, people come to them for other things. As speakers, we're afraid to specialize. And anybody, I'm going to keep throwing love back to Mike and throw it back to Lois. When you become a generalist, guess what? It's hard to go. I'm like when you say you want dessert or cheesecake, you go to the Cheesecake Factory because you know that. Think about going to a pizza place or a burger place or a seafood spot. They have specialized and people go there. It draws people in. For many of us, when we have our LinkedIn profiles, our Facebook profiles, I've been looking at everybody here, got a few people who are connected with me on LinkedIn right now. You have all these commas in your name. You're a speaker, you're a podcast host, you're an author, you're an influencer, you love puppies, you have all these commas on there. Well, guess what? The more commas that you have behind your name, the less commas you have in your paycheck. We get way too cute in the speaking business trying to be everything for all. You need to go look at your business right now and say, you know what? Where is most of my income coming from? Or, okay, where would I like most of my income to come from? Now, earlier, we've got Mike talking about he is a keynote speaker, but he's got his retreat. He's got training sessions. Okay, he doesn't advertise all the commas. He talks about what he specializes in. Lois, we know that she speaks, but she's the person you go to when you want to grow in the speaking business. You have to be willing to plant that flag and not be afraid of it, everyone. And it's not going to hurt you. I mean, quite simply, even for me, I promote myself as a keynote speaker. This is what you'll see on my LinkedIn page right now. It says professional keynote speaker. Why? This is what I want. I want to be on the keynote stage, but I still do trainings. I still do workshops and breakouts. I've got books. I've got courses, but that's not in there. I want people to know what I want. Even right now, say international keynote speaker, because I'm going to speak around the world. What is your profile saying? You have to make yourself as bookable as possible. And you make things too confusing, guess what happens? People are going to move on to somebody who's got clarity. I think I heard Mike talk about that earlier. Impact and clarity. So what are you doing to be as clear as possible with what you want and who you are? And then for a quick snippet here, as far as I like to go off the cuff, like Marty says, ab lib. One thing I learned also about your LinkedIn profiles, looking at everybody, you have to paint the picture of what you are. So if you look at my picture right now, you see me speaking on a stage. So if you're going to be a professional speaker or a coach or a trainer, that picture right there behind your profile picture should be of you doing something. You have to paint the picture visually. Humans are visual learners. So if you've got like the nice thing that you created in Canva and just kind of shows you with your arms crossed and talks about it, oh, okay, everybody's got that. What are you doing to differentiate yourself from everybody else? Show people exactly what you do, okay? This is a perception business, so you have to let people know exactly what you do and let them have the perception of seeing you on a stage in front of people. Let them know what you do. So that's the S for spice, everyone. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, now we're gonna get to the P. The P is you have to prospect for opportunities regularly. That's this business. This business is a sales business. I'd say about 10 to 20% of what I do is actually speaking on stage. The rest of the time is actually building and working on the business to get on those stages. That's why we say professional speaker. I love speaking on stage and doing what I'm doing now because this is the icing on the cake. This is me in my happy spot. But making the phone calls, the emails, putting together the marketing strategy, the content strategy, the prospecting strategy, that takes a lot of work. And if you don't have work coming in, it's hard to get on that stage. And that's why I tell people, like, I got a lot of people who I know are speakers, and they're really getting on stage because they're not putting in the professional spot. So what are you doing to prospect? And I'm going to make this, once again, a kitchen-inspired idea. You're hungry for the speaking game. You're hungry to get booked as a speaker. Now let's go to the real world. When you're driving down the highway, you're driving to that next speaking job, and you're hungry. You've been working all day, and you're hungry. What do you do? Anybody in the chat right now? What do you do? What do you look for when you're hungry and you're driving on the highway? Anybody? Looking in the chat right now. Food. Yep. So Lois said food. Somebody says restaurant, a place to stop and eat, grab my snacks. Yeah, we're looking for it. But what's the thing that gives us an idea of where to get this food? Anybody? Hot boiled peanuts. All right, Jordan, I got family from South Carolina. I know about that. Exposed them to that a few years ago. Yes, thank you so much. I got Rob. He says, we are looking for the road signs, everyone. When we're driving on the highway, you can kind of see it right here behind me. I'm just going to go close myself out for 1 second. Let's see if I can close myself out correctly. No, I'm not even going to do that one. But you look for that road sign. Watch this. That sign right there, where you're looking for places to eat. It's letting you know where to eat. So for all of you as speakers, what are you doing to keep your eyes open all the time? You say you're hungry for this business. You say you're passionate about it, but are you looking for prospects? Are you checking out the media? Maybe there's a news article or story that's come out and it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. Maybe there's some local events. Lois talked about getting everything around her with like a 2-hour radius. Are you looking at other speakers? Yeah, guess what? I stalk other speakers. I like to see where they're speaking because there's so many alphabet soup groups and associations out there that I've never heard of before. I can go look for those and find out like, oh, that speaker's like me. Maybe that group would want to find me. That's how I start to build my list. And then even go look at social media posts. Okay. And Kurt, yes, I did see you reach out on LinkedIn. We're definitely going to connect. So look for social media posts to see what's out there. I mean, quite simply right now, today, I can challenge you after this, go jump on LinkedIn and go into the search engine and whatever your area of specialty is, just type that in. And you're gonna be watching all these people leaving posts up. I mean, you get the chance to eavesdrop on people on social media, whether you're on X, formerly known as Twitter, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you just go do a Google search, you could type in something like leadership conferences. You could type in something about, hey, marketing training workshop, speaker camp, boot camp, and you're gonna see people put up posts. It's a way to find the ingredients that you need to get booked as a speaker. That's how we go and prospect. So you got to prospect daily, okay? It's something that you have to do all the time. Always keep your eyes open for opportunities, and then you can get booked as a speaker. Now, got to go a little bit deeper now. That was the P. Checking everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for participating right now, everybody. Let's go to the I. Now, the I is you have to be willing to innovate. And Lois, I'm going to watch you smile right now because you talked about this to everybody. Everybody, 4 years ago, almost to the day, guess what? The world came closing down for speakers because COVID hit. We're all going to have our best year 2020, and all of a sudden, within a week or two, we all lost our business. And we learned this. The speakers who are willing to adapt, grow, and evolve, they thrived during COVID. The people who crossed their arms and said, I'm just going to wait till it gets back to being the same, they're still looking for work. What are you willing to do to innovate your business? I mean, this one is funny. Many people can put a yes in the chat if you said this. You go, once I get this one thing done, I'll be 100% complete. You will never be 100% complete in this business, everybody. You might get to about 80 or 85%, but you're going to spend the rest of your life tweaking that other 15%. So what are you doing to innovate in your business? Now, I'm going to throw a couple ideas out because, once again, we only have limited time, but some of the ways you can innovate. When's the last time you changed your headshot? Has anybody seen those speakers where the headshots from 20 years ago? When's the last time you updated your website? Are many of you willing to use, like Mike was saying, are you willing to use AI right now? A lot of people think AI is evil, but I learned from Ford Six, he goes, look at AI as an intern. Many things that we had to go do on our own, we can actually use AI. I was talking to Terry Brock this week. I'm going to actually be using AI because people talk about AI creating their virtual image or emojis of them. Have you thought about using AI to help you create the slides for your next slide deck? Because Canva just added that. Have you thought about having AI asking about, hey, what are the top 10 hashtags I can add to my LinkedIn post or my Instagram post? It can do that research for you. Hey, you know what? Can you please give me data on trends affecting the speaking world and cite the sources? AI is almost like an advanced Google search, and it's out there for either low cost or no cost. So what are you looking to do to innovate in your business? Do you need to bring on some new employees? Is there some new software? Maybe you need to go out there and invest in some professional development. Mike's got his workshop. Marty's got the pieces here with Speaker Speak Live. Lois has her book coming out. Or are you willing to innovate in the sense of taking care of your personal health? Because think about it, we step on stages all day and we're sharing with people how to get better in their life. But if we're not taking care of our mental and physical health, how can we invite people to do the same? Because they're looking at us from a visual standpoint. So you need to write down about every 6 to 12 months, what are you doing to innovate, to change, to adapt, to grow, to improve your business? This is what you have to be willing to do. The people who are speaking to you today have been in this business for a long time. Like Mike says, we want to be impact speakers, not short-term speakers. There are a lot of celebrities who get into this business. They're here for a couple of years and then they're gone. But how many of us want longevity? We want to do this until the day that we die, the day that we drop. I'm like, Jess Pittman, I love it. Her business plan, quite simply, she goes, hey, I want to die on a plane or in a hotel. And we're like, what? She goes, yeah. She goes, it means I'm either flying to or from an event, or she's like, I die at the hotel, getting ready to go speak on stage. So she goes, I should probably add on stage too. She goes, on a stage, in a plane, or in a hotel, because she's doing what she loves. So she's always trying to innovate and improve her business. So now she's adding MC work to get better as a speaker. So what are we doing to innovate? Now, from there, got to go a little bit deeper. Got to go to the C. The C is you have to create multiple streams of income. The days of just stepping on stage, speaking, coaching, training, and then done, those days are over, everybody. The pandemic proved that to us. The people who are the most impactful speakers have multiple streams of income. One of my mentors, she has 13 different streams of income. So that way, when the next pandemic or major issue, financial crisis comes, she is insulated. So here's some ideas for you. Number one, as speakers, we think we know it all. But guess what? You can't just go throw a product out there unless you know that people want that product. So are you really listening to your clients or potential clients? If they keep calling you up or emailing you and asking you if you have something, that's giving you an idea of, hey, you know what? Maybe I should create that. You can even write back to those people like, hey, do you find this of value? Would you be willing to pay for it? You can even go as far as saying, how much would you be willing to pay for it? They will answer these questions for you. So before you go and talk to other speakers and people like, hey, I'm going to go create this, I think it'd be great. You have to make sure that you have a market that wants it. Now, here's how I like to describe doing multiple streams of income. Once again, use that word kitchen. I've had 50 years of jokes on this name. Now I am turning it into a successful business. No meal is complete without side dishes, everybody. Now, no matter what the holiday is, think some big holidays everywhere. We got July 4th coming up. Anybody, when July 4th is coming up here, you're going to have your barbecue, family and friends over. In the chat right now, what are you looking forward to on July 4th when it comes to the food? Anybody? I can see watermelon, okay? Coleslaw, corn. If you look at this, everybody, Lois finally said burgers. Burgers started to pop up. I am not seeing the main course listed, everybody. I'm seeing all the side dishes. For us as speakers, we're always trying to sell the entree, the keynote, the half-day training, the full-day training, the executive training, the long-term training. But the thing that adds the most value to people are the side dishes, your books, your courses, your memberships. Are you trying to sell meals to people, or are you trying to just sell the single entree? Now, luckily in this group, we can talk about money. But you know what? If I'm in here and I'm looking at people on the screen right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick on Carol. If Carol goes in and she sells a whole meal, and her meal is going to make her, let's call it hamburgers, is going to make her 20 hamburgers, and I just sell the hamburger, which is 5 hamburgers. If she speaks 20 times, she's going to make 400 hamburgers. If I speak 20 times, I make 100. Look at the profit margin right there. Quite simply because she's asking or selling to people. She's presenting, hey, here's what else I can do. That's how we grow in the speaking business. It's not just to sell the speech or the training, but it's to add in what extra do we have? We have to talk about impact. As Mike said, whether you're an hour, hour and a half, 2.5 hours, you can't give your 10, 20, 30, 50 years of experience in that time. So what are you doing to provide people more? Every time we go to a restaurant, you talk about what you're going to order, and then they offer like, hey, would you like this? You have to get trained to doing the same thing. After you do the deal and the sales, you can say, hey, you know what? As Lois said, would this make sense? I'd like to add a little additional value. Here's what we can do to really make an impact on your people. So always have those multiple streams of income. And when times get tough, just remember, you are a speaker. You've got the gift of gab. If you look at this demo right here next to me, These are all the different ways I've actually been paid and compensated in public speaking. Now, as I'm looking here, some of you are looking at the screen, save this for the questions, but if any of these terms on here kind of get you wondering what Frank's talking about, you can either put it in the chat right now, or you can ask later. But as a speaker, guess what? Many of us are good at writing the speeches. You could actually make some money writing for people. You could do voiceover work. You could do acting, consulting. You could be the public address announcer. There's different things that you can do. I mean, for any of you, if you're doing virtual speeches, give me a yes in the chat right now. Is anybody going to do a virtual conference? You got brought in as the keynote or the main speaker, but then they have all these amateur speakers and you watch them and they're not really good. Yeah, I see some yes, right? I see John jumping in there. I've actually made money going to the conference, adding value and impact, saying, hey, how would you like me to host a workshop teaching people how to present better virtually, how to make their program more engaging so you can get more people who want to stay at the conference and don't check out. That's a talent many of you have. So always think about what you can do to add value. It's not trying to, quote, make more money. You're adding value. Many of the event planners now are coming in their late 20s, early 30s. They haven't done this before. You live in this. You see it day in, day out. Go ahead and hold their hand and offer ways to bring more value and expertise to the conference to make it the best experience possible. And when you can tell them, hey, I'm doing this to make it the best experience possible, they will love it. Okay, we got a few more letters here because I saw my clock just went down. The E, everybody, engage. Okay, I see Julie laughing. Julie is loving this. Julie, give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this right now. Okay, thumbs up. Everybody, we got to engage your clients frequently. As I said, this is a sales business, and most of the sales books are talking about find new people, find new people, find new people. What are you doing to keep the people who already know and love you engaged with you? So what we have to do, number one, is once you book these jobs, and Lori, I saw you talk about it earlier with your question, is once we book our speaking jobs, we have to keep the relationship going. How do we keep them in-house? We don't have to keep going out looking for other people. We don't have to keep going wide. Let's go deep. So as you start to question people during the event process, find out when their birthdays are. Find out if they have kids, when their kids' birthdays are. And then what you're going to do is, whether it be emails, phone calls, you figure out the best way to communicate. Stay in contact with those people. I love writing to groups and saying, hey, happy birthday. When I have new programs coming out, I love to announce to them or call up a special group and say, hey, here's a title I'm picking. What do you think? So I'm not trying to sell the program. I'm like, hey, here's my new program, but what title makes sense to you? What do you find value in? And they're letting me know exactly what to go and do. I'll update them on my life of what's going on. I also will ask, hey, it's like, who's that speaker you brought in? Who's some of the best speakers that you've seen? So I can do some speaker recon to find out, hey, what does it take to get booked over and over? But when I have this communication where I'm not trying to sell people, but I'm just trying to use them as another resource, instead of AI, this is real I get to reach out to them to find out more of what's going on. Because over 80% of my work, everybody, has been booked through referrals and my network versus all these click funnels and pieces there. This is a relationship business. So what are you doing to build the relationship? Now we got the up part. We're almost there. You got to utilize your network. I get so many people who reach out to all of us and say, hey, do I need an agent? I got to have an agency or a bureau. Guess what, everybody? The agencies and bureaus, they don't need you until you don't need them. They're not there to build your career up. And there's nothing wrong with agencies and bureaus. I've got relationships with them. I consider them another fishing pole in the water. You've got to have a pole in the water, but if you've got a few extras, that helps out. But they've got other mouths to feed also. It's not just you. So how are you utilizing your network? I want you to turn your network into your own personal agency. So you got to write this down and you got to ask yourself right now, does your network know? Does your friends, your family, even your past clients, do they understand who you work with and what you're doing? I started out in the youth market, and about 5 or 6 years in, as I started to transition, people didn't understand in my network that I wasn't doing youth speaking anymore. I was doing more of the adult association and conference business. I had to update them on what was going on. So for all of you, here's your challenge today. Once this is all over, I want you to go write a list down of at least 100 people. You can go look them up on LinkedIn, in your phone, on your email. 100 people that you know, as in they will see you walking down the street. They know what you're doing. Hey, how's it going? And you can call them personally. We're not doing any of these email blasts. You can send them a personalized email, personalized phone call or text, and just ask, can you sit down for a few minutes to explain your big dream? Because think about it, we go to a restaurant, people go, what are you hungry for? You share it with them. Well, you're hungry to build up your business. I need you to reach out to your network and explain. You can even write a letter. You can email me after this. I'll send you a sample of what I do. But every 6 to 12 months, I find about a different 100 people. I go, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm working for. Here's my goal. When, it's not if, everybody, when you hear of people who need this, please point them my way. What I've done now is I have made this group 100 agents for me. Now, if you get 20, fine. But I say shoot for 100. If you get 200, even better. But your network needs to know exactly the problem you solve, who you work with, okay? If they don't know who you are, the problem you solve, or the people that you work with, how can you get booked? If your friends don't know, how do you expect these other groups when you're going for Google and Microsoft and all these big companies? Why would they care if the people around you don't care? So yes, I like it, Hilla. Yep. What's the problem that you solve? This is the easiest thing you can do, everybody, as a speaker. What you want to write is, what's the problem that you solve? Okay. We are professional problem solvers. So what's the problem that you solve? Number 2 is, who has that problem? Okay. So who's got that problem? Then number 3, who's willing to pay to have that problem solved? Because many of us are going to prospect for people who don't even pay for speakers. And now you're trying to do the double sell. Should you have an event? So you're selling on that. And then should you have me? So that's what we got to do. What's the problem you solve? Who has that problem? Who's willing to have it paid for? All right. Vidya, I am not using Loom. I'm actually using Ecamm. I'm a Mac guy, so we'll go over that here in a second. We are almost done. I've got about 4 slides left to go before we get to the question slide and a little thank you because I heard Mike talking about that. Now, the last one, everybody, is the P, which is promote. I want you to promote the problem you solve and the results you produce. In this sales flashy world, people are always talking about, I'm the greatest, I'm the superhero, I'm a Jedi, I do this. And that turns people off. You're just bragging about yourself. But what happens if you shine the spotlight on your client? The problem that they solve and how you played a part in solving that problem. One is the client's going to like you because you're promoting them and saying, hey, you know what? They care about their people and making an impact. So they're going to share information about you. But then other people are like, oh, wait, they came in and they helped them solve that problem. They fixed it. That's how we have to go. I mean, think about it. When we have cooking, we don't say, hey, I'm the greatest cook in the world. We go, hey, would you like to try this? And we show them the product. What are you doing to show the product and the service versus this trying to be about you? Social media right now is all about, hey, look at the car and that when I'm driving the house and go and do. Why can't you just say, hey, you know what? It was an honor today to work with the Speaker Speak Live, as Marty and his group has been working for 3 years to help speakers get more speaking opportunities and jobs and open up the career. And it was a great piece to receive an invitation to be a part of today's event. I didn't brag about myself, but people are like, whoa, Marty's a really good guy. Lewis is a really good guy. Mike's a really good guy. If Frank's associated with that, he must be good. The perception business. So what are you doing to promote the problem versus promoting yourself? And then the last one, just to give you a little bit something else, because when we spice things up, there's always that little explanation where you're like, ooh, this is good, right? As speakers, here's what I want you to do to make sure people are like, ooh, that's good, it's special because we love to talk about it, is this. Gotta show you my buddy. His name is Joe Fingerhut. And it says, be amazingly you. So with Joe Fingerhut, he is known for having this unicycle. And literally when he rides off stage, he goes, hey, everybody, chase down your dreams. And he goes, what's your unicycle? And he rides off on the unicycle. There's not many speakers out there on a unicycle. That's something that's different and unique for him. If you watch the comment there, it says, don't blend in with the crowd, stand out from it. In speaking, don't try to be like me. Don't try to be like Lois. Don't try to be like Mike. You can take concepts from us, but be the first you. Be uniquely you. And one of the things as a speaker, we have to be unique about ourselves is this. You're going to see a little comment here on the bottom that's going to say Club HQ. For those of you who use Google, this is an app or actually a plugin you can add to your Gmail. As speakers, one of our most unique selling points is the fact of we speak our personality. That personality can't be shown in an email. It can't be shown in a text message. It can't be shown in a static photo. It's shown by us talking. So for many of my clients, I use Club HQ and there's other apps out there, but this one is free. So it's a free resource where you can actually embed video into your email. So could you imagine me sending out an email to everybody, or guess what? A few special people. Hey, guess what? Bill Gannon. I would love, my name is Frank Kitchen. Click the links below to learn how I can be a resource for you and your team. I'd love to speak at your conference coming up in September. That little piece there is going to set you apart, everybody. Make sure that we're incorporating video into what we're doing to stand out. Let's stop trying to blend in and be like everybody else. Try to be the best version of ourselves. The reason we love spice and foods is, guess what? Everybody can make chicken. Everybody can make burgers. But it's that little spice that makes it different and stand out that draws people in. So what's the thing that allows you to be different than everybody else? I want you to search for that. Write that down today. What makes you unique and different? Because when you do go and talk to these people in the sales calls and the emails, there's that unique piece that you can share that allows you to stand out from the crowd. Now, that being said, Marty, I got to go over it really quick. I got two things for everybody. Number one, with the spice up, I know I went through it quick, but we have to specialize, prospect, innovate, create, engage, utilize, and promote. Now, people are like, Frank, I was writing this down. I can't keep up with you. You're talking so fast. Let's make it easier for everybody. There's a little QR code here right now. All today's notes. You're asking Mike, how does he do it? Here's how a lot of us do it. You have to give something of value to people. So all of today's notes, I was asked by NSA to write an article in today's program. So if you click on this QR code, you're going to get the notes from today's program. You're also going to get the article there, plus a couple of steps of what it takes to get booked as a speaker. I want to see all of you on more stages. This is a legal high to be able to share your expertise with the world. So let's go ahead and do it. So just go ahead and do that. And as Mike said, if you look at the bottom, there's actually the website also. So if you can't use the QR code, use the website. Make things as easy as possible for people. So this is going to provide you with all your notes. And then Marty, if you can come off of mute, I think I've got a special, but I got to make sure you say it's okay.
Absolutely. Hit it.
With the spice up, I've actually created a course, and I wasn't trying to go and do, but then I saw some other people popping stuff up today. I'm speaking for NSA North Texas on Saturday, and I'm offering my spice up courses for half off. So I'd love to do that for your team today. So I believe Hannah is like doing all the behind the scenes. I sent her a link earlier. So if they want to go ahead and pop that link up, and then the promo code, I think I can get in the chat right now. The promo code is just NSA24, and everybody can get half off either the public speaking course or the business speaking course, of which is actually speaking leads in there. So they can go and do that part there. And then other than that, Mr. Marty, I have had an amazing time. Yeah, so happy 3 years, Marty, for making this amazing group and just kind of keeping us together. I've had an amazing time sharing today, and I believe we're going to open it up for some questions. So me, Mike, Lois will answer any questions about the program. I turn it back over to you, sir.
One of the themes of Speaker Speak Live has really turned into to us just connecting with each other as speakers. So where has that come into play for you building your speaking business and adding that to your network?
Yeah, I mean, his name is Marcus Engel, good friend of mine, speaker. But years ago, he came into Phoenix and he goes, "Hey, Frank," he goes, "what do you do when you travel?" Like, I just go to the hotel, get ready for the program. He goes, "No, let me share something with you." He goes, "I turn, every trip," and he's like, "I try to find an influencer, someone going somewhere, other speakers, and meet with them." So I started doing that the last 8 years, and that's where my business has grown up. Because every time I travel to a different city, I look to meet with a speaker. So I'm going to Dallas this week. There's a speaker there. She and I are both vegan. We're going to go out to lunch. Then I'm going to be there with the speakers. So every time I go to a town, there's either a speaker who I've never met and I want to meet, or there's a speakers who I know and I try to connect, because there's very few people on the planet who understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis. So last time I was in Denver, I hung out with you and Lori Pace. That was a great time to have dinner and just connect and learn. You share stuff. You and I went to breakfast there in New Mexico. I've done breakfast with Lois here. Mike Domich, when he's coming to town, like, he's like, "Hey, Frank, I'm in town." So that's the big one, is try to find other speakers. I mean, it's nice to just have some people who understands the ups and downs of, like, the day we want to cry. It's nice to cry with another speaker because we understand what's going on. And then the other piece is back to your earlier, Lori had something here talking about, you said how we keep success on this deal, is if there's any speakers who've ever been an advocate for me or organizations, I'll take that speaker out to dinner or lunch or breakfast for set me up with a job. So, I mean, that's something that we can go and do. And Lois was saying, hey, we make it special. Another one I'll do is for anybody here is when I say stay in touch with your past clients, when you have your past clients, if you're back in that town, I've been known to, quote, do drive-ins where I was like, "Hey, I'm in town. Would you like me to stop by really quick?" Especially if they offer another job to me. I was like, "I'll come in and do a brief presentation for you. I can do it virtual." So I've got several groups where I was like, "Hey, if you refer me to anybody in your network, guess what? I'll give you a bonus program." And I try to do those on my slow times. So when my client expects me to be at my top, if I got a 2 or 3 week break in my calendar, I schedule that with the past client. I get to go try new content, try things out, and it keeps me at the top of my game. So that's just another way of getting better at speaking is, as you said, speakers have to speak. So when we have those quiet spots, let's find some other opportunities or create, like Lois said, that could even be a free one, but it's got value to me of keeping me at the top of my game.
That's awesome. Great. Let's get to Tracy. You have a question for Frank. Go ahead. Remember, you have 20 seconds or less to ask it. Go ahead.
fast too. Frank, I follow you on LinkedIn. I'm happy to see you today. I talk about safety, security, and AI cybersecurity. The question is, how do I spice up my topic before there's a tragic event in the news? What I have is necessary, but I have to convince people that they need to be proactive and preventative. Help.
Okay, so you said proactive and preventative. I'm going to have Lois jump in with me on this one. But proactive and preventative for what?
To avoid being a victim of cyber crimes. They're happening every day.
What if I'm a victim? What happens?
You're in the headlines because your company has lost money. You've endangered the data of your customers and clients. So you've been hacked. And now all of a sudden people are reading about how you don't secure their data and how you're not safe and secure.
Okay, that's the piece you have to sell. What happens to speakers many times, like let's say if our car breaks down, we don't go to the dealership and they go, oh, we fix batteries and tires and all this. We want to know, can you fix our car? So for these companies, essentially by protecting themselves with AI, guess what? We're protecting their profits and because their clients aren't going to leave. So you have to angle it in the sense of how you're using AI and cybersecurity to protect their profits. Right now, what I hear you selling is you're selling what you do. And what happens is too many times as speakers, we're selling what we do versus selling the problem that we solve. So you start it that way. So for me, I'm trying to get people to improve their performance of their teams. Why? Because that affects the bottom line and their results. Now, I do that through mindset and leadership and workplace culture, but it becomes like, hey, it's all on mindset, leadership, workplace culture. Like, huh? Versus like, what do you do? It's like, I fire up the performance of your teams. Everybody wants their teams to perform best. So I fire up the performance and the results of your team. Oh, okay, I get it. So lead in with the problem. When you talked about, hey, it's going to lose them, be in the news. It's going to affect profits. It's going to make clients go away. That's a fear for everybody. That's the problem. So you're going to make sure to keep their clients, stay out of the news, and they have their profit margins. When you do it that way, you're going to get booked.
Awesome.
Thank you. I follow all three of you, Lois, Marty, and Frank. I follow all of you all. You all are great inspiration. Thank you for what you're doing.